Good morning, everyone. This is Trey and
This is Tiffany.
Miss Tiffany.
Is I.
This is my girl. I'm here in Louisville and I'm loving it. I didn't really like Louisville for a long time, but it's growing on me.
Yeah, you got to get used to it.
Yeah, my friend. So today we're going to talk about the horrific and tragic attack that happened in Las Vegas. We definitely send our condolences to those who lost their lives. And
Prayers definitely go out to them.
yes, and everyone who's been affected by this horrific domestic terrorist who decided to take lives into his own hands.
It's just sad that people can't just go out and enjoy themselves and just have a good time without having to look over their shoulder
I know.
nowadays. And the fact that we're just coming off of the hurricanes back to back to back. You know, there's devastation everywhere.
Right.
And now this.
And then, we often hear about terror attacks in Paris and London and Berlin and all these things that are happening around the world. And this is like one of ours. This is an American, Nevada citizen who decided for whatever reason that he was going to take 10 assault rifles.
And shoot up a Jason Aldean concert.
You know what I'm saying?
And Jason Aldean made a comment about how horrified he was that this would happen, and I like the fact that he didn't just say at my show. He just said it's horrible that something like this happened. Period.
Right.
And it's just sad. The whole thing is just tragic.
And so I was listening to, right before we went on air, I was listening to the president's speech, and I thought it was very poised, definitely a teleprompter, but that's okay. That is his job to be compassionate in these times. But I definitely felt like there was a lack of understanding about what average Americans go through with violence every day and how these guns are affecting many communities, not just the Black community.
It's every community, and it just goes to show you, like you said, it's not just it's not a Black thing, it's not a white thing, it's not a Muslim thing, it's not a Korean thing. It's an evil thing, and evil has no color. It has no face.
Yeah. And so Tiffany has two beautiful sons that are both in college.
I do.
And they are these beautiful, strong Black men. They both have two jobs.
They do.
Amazing. And we were at, where were we at? El
Taco.
What was the place? Yeah.
Taco Luchador.
Listen, the reason why I can't remember is because we had margarita swirls.
A picture of margaritas.
A picture between two people, and let me tell you, we sat at that bad boy. We had you sober up.
They were like, lunch is over. Right. You can leave now.
Right. We was there till 7 o'clock talking about stuff. Okay, we good? We can go home? Can you move?
But tragedies like this just bring it all into focus, especially when you have children. Raising young Black men today is one of the hardest jobs I've ever had in my life. And I've worked hospitals, I've worked doctor's offices, I've worked call centers, I've worked in many places, and this is the hardest job ever.
Right. And you were telling me about, sending your kids off and them just traveling to and from work, and your son was pulled over.
He was pulled over at night at 1 o'clock in the morning, coming home from work, from Kroger's, and when he got home, I knew something was wrong because he knocked on my door at 1:30 a.m. And usually when he comes home, he just goes to bed because he knows I'm asleep. So when he knocked on the door and I got up, he immediately told me, he got a ticket, and I immediately panicked. And I yelled at him, but it was not out of, being upset with him. It was out of fear for him. Because as a parent, that's the one call you never want to get. And seeing it time and time again on the news makes it real, especially when it's your child. And granted, he's okay, but it's just the fact of what could have been, because you see it every day, all the time now. And it's 1:00 in the morning, so nobody was out. And he got this ticket for having a restrictive license because he didn't have his full license yet, and he was over the curfew. But the cop knew he was coming from work. He had his uniform on. He told the cop, I'm just coming from work. I'm just going to get home. And he still gave him the ticket. And supposedly, if you're out past that time on the restrictive license, as long as you have a good reason, then you're supposed to be okay. But the cop decided not to put that part on the ticket, that he was coming from work.
Right.
Conveniently left that out.
Right. And so your fear is Jason Aldean or this country, festival concert every day. And that you don't have the luxury of just thinking, my kids are definitely going to come home. And this is where that compassion sets in, and what we want, our, Caucasian brothers and sisters to understand is that concert, why Black Lives Matter and these kind of, conscious groups came about, was because we want to shed light to what is happening in our communities. And saying, like, we are being targeted. Those people in Las Vegas were targeted by their own. Like, this white man there was no other target except a group of fun-loving,
just country loving, dancing, having a ball, having a few drinks. It's Vegas, baby.
Right. Like, this is what everybody's on the turn up, right?
Turn up in Vegas. And turn up for the turn down of all turn downs. That was just horrible. And what strikes me interesting about this is the fact that the guy that did this was in his 60s.
64, yeah.
64 years old. Like,
and the other thing that was crazy about the media is I actually was awake working and answering emails. I'm swamped this week. And so I was awake and I just like, let me see what's on CNN. And then I just seen the scroll and it said 2 people shot in Las Vegas, 10 people injured. So I'm thinking maybe it's like a domestic issue, or it was like a small scale. Somebody got upset and shot up some people. Not that that's taking away from it, but then as the numbers start rising, I turn on the audio and I hear this woman, and she's talking about how her and her child were like turned away from the hotels because like at that time they didn't really know who the shooter was, who was good and who was bad. And I just thought, what a scary place to be. I don't have any children, and coincidentally why we were talking about that is because you might want to rethink that whole thing.
Yeah. Because it's scary. Having children is such a blessing, and I thank God every day that I have them, because I actually did not want children at all. Yeah. None. Finito. None. She wanted none. And had 2. So they're here for a reason. And I say every day that my kids saved my life. Right. And I mean that, because you just never know. The type of person, I love to dance, love to have a good time, love to turn up. And sometimes that's not a good thing to do all the time. So my kids actually slowed me down.
Yeah.
But made me better.
Oh, Lord, if I could have been slowed down.
Yes.
I'm sure in a different episode we can talk about some of that stuff.
I would have been in Vegas had I not had children. But
right.
It's just, it's really scary because, my husband and I, we go to a lot of concerts.
Yeah.
I'm always at a concert. Music is life for me. And my kids also love music, especially my youngest. So as they get older, I'm sure they're going to want to go and experience some of these concerts as well. And it just makes it scary that you just can't do things like that, now without thinking about things like this. Well, what if that happens here? Or what if that happens, like we went to Cincinnati during the summer to see Mary J. And, you know, it could happen anywhere.
Right, right, of course. And I guess too, you know, I had the luxury of living in Izmir, Turkey as a young child and experienced some of the, you know, polarizing religious crap that goes on in the world at a very young age and understood that I was never safe. Like, you
Right.
know, from that, that's just something that came with the territory of having a parent that had a job overseas. So, you know, I'm always aware of other people's plights or what might happen when you don't have this cocoon we call the United States of America, that we are really protected in most senses. They did at that concert, you know, really have a lot of security measures. I'm sure because you go to a lot of concerts, you know what it's like, frisk.
Yep.
Let me look in your bag.
Yep.
No, that bag's too big. Hell, I had a friend, Tira, in San Francisco, and they turned her away from Beyonce, honey, because she had a purse.
Yeah.
And she was like, I'm not leaving my purse. And they were like, then you ain't coming in. Got arrested and everything.
Yeah. Yeah, well, I mean, look at just recently we went to the U of L game, and even though there is no pro team, no professional pro team
Rick
here,
Pitino.
whole another saga. Even though there is no professional team here, they have now changed the rules to get into the stadium. And yeah, and a lot of people didn't know that, and there was a lot of people that got turned away going to the game because you now have to have a clear bag. You can't just walk in there with your regular purse. You have to have a certain size clutch or a clear bag.
Wow.
And yeah, a lot of people can't even go to the game now. But it's all protective measure. It's
Right.
for a reason.
Yeah.
You know, they do that at the NFL stadiums, but never here. And now it's trickling down.
They're adopting that principle. That's very interesting.
So y'all be careful going to the
Be
game.
careful out there. So this is my new little baby podcast that I will be doing. Eventually we will have video. Yay. And we're just going to talk about real issues and, you know, put a positive spin on it. We're not trying to hurt anyone. Or,
No, just kind of talk about what goes on.
Right.
Reality.
The reality of the shit that goes on.
Man, it's about to go down.
Right. And then, you know, it's funny. I was watching, I'm like, I love CNN. So probably from the time I wake up, and I be talking bullshit. I'm like, Chris Como, shut up. You stupid. That's a stupid ass question. I mean, some of their questions are just dumb. I'm like, don't ask him that. Like, anyway, but like as soon as Trump came off of the his teleprompter speech about his sympathy, Poppy Harlow was like, "Oh, it was just so great. He just, you know, it was like everything he should have said." I'm like, girl.
Wah, wah, wah.
Right. Because last week you telling Puerto Ricans they need to get off their ass and do some work. Now today, all of a sudden, he drummed up some compassion. And you know what? I don't even think it's a racial thing. I just think he has a void when it comes to being emotionally intelligent or having empathy for someone else.
Well, when you've never been through anything, how can you relate to anything?
Ooh, Tiffany with the wisdom.
I mean, honestly, think about it. Think about how he grew up. Think about how he was raised. He's been rich all his life.
Yeah, but money doesn't always necessarily mean happy.
Exactly.
But I guess you have to be able.
But what I'm saying is, he's always had money, so therefore he's never had to sacrifice anything. He's never had to watch anything crumble and be taken away from him. I mean, yeah, he's went bankrupt a few times, but
that wasn't even his money.
It wasn't his money, so he's never had to have that sort of empathy or sympathy because he's never
been without.
He's never been right. I mean, do you really think Trump had friends in the hood? Stop it.
I mean, Trump doesn't have friends, period.
Not even his wife. So.
Poor Melania. You know what? Every day I just like Melania and Melania more because I feel like she's the silent killer. Like she knows this fool's crazy, but she wait until that 18th birthday of her son so he doesn't have to keep terrorizing her about staying or grabbing her hand or pulling her ear. That's what I feel like he does in the house. Like I feel like he's like, Melania! And she's like, oh. And then he gets mad at her, so he like pulls her ear like your grandma. Right. Your grandma used to do when you were a little
And then
kid.
gets on TV and says, "We wish Melania were here today. She wishes she were here."
And she's just like,
standing right here, fool.
Right, but did you see that smirk? Like, y'all know he's a dumbass, right?
Right.
I ain't got to tell you.
He
wanted to put his ass out here like this.
This is what I do.
Right. And then where has Ivanka been, by the way? I guess not selling to Nordstrom.
No.
And I'm like, how Donald Trump had so many words for Nordstrom when his daughter's line got dropped. But the fool couldn't say anything about Puerto Rico.
At all.
I'm like, damn. Like, you should be mad. You should be like, you know what? Yes, this thing ain't going right, and I need to figure out who's not doing what. Whether it's the Puerto Ricans, whether it's FEMA, whether it's we need another boat, whether it's like, why can't you figure that out within 24 hours?
Honestly, I'm just kind of over Trump. I'm over him.
Yeah.
I've come to the conclusion that he is an ass. And
big ass,
it
too.
is what it is.
Big, wide ass.
And it just is what it is with him. I put it like this. I don't expect anything from him. I just don't.
Except his status quo, what he's doing.
Exactly. I don't expect anything more from him than for him to be who he is. And he's, when a person show you who they are.
Hello, believe it.
He has shown us.
He's shown us. And I look at these, like, I grew up in a predominantly, white, Caucasian, no, not predominantly, all them white. There was like one of me, maybe one mixed girl and my cousin, okay? Mm-hmm. In a school of, I don't know, 3,000 children. And I just look at them and I say, that's sad. Like, most of them, lots of heroin issues. And we're talking about some of these families are pretty affluent. And yet still, cancer. Everybody has cancer there. And I was at the grocery store and this man was talking about minorities and all of these things. And I was just like, oh my God. What about the resources y'all are sucking? You know what? Stop Medicaid. I'm okay with it. Cut Obamacare, cut it out. Because the people that it's going to hurt are going to be your own. And then maybe you can see through that. It's not a punishment to have health insurance. It should be your right. Mm-hmm. And everyone should be able to get preventative care for free.
Canada.
I mean, I wonder how many of these people that got shot have insurance.
Right.
And what them bills going to look like, unless there's going to be some sort of charitable, donation.
Right, funds. I mean, and then you got to wonder, is the money really going
to
where it should be going?
Exactly.
Because then every time you turn around, then you find out, you've given to Harvey and you've given to Irma, and the Red Cross is not giving it to who it's supposed to go to.
Right. It's going to the CEOs to sit back and watch and delegate. Mm-hmm. Why is there a CEO or some kind of, head of a charity taking in millions of dollars as a salary? That is insane.
It is.
And while we have now this horrific crime in Vegas, we're still dealing with Puerto Rico. Mm-hmm. Let me tell you, Miss Carmen, honey, the mayor of San Juan, she is on Trump's head and he don't like it.
He doesn't like anybody that disagrees with him.
Right. Miss Carmen, honey, the things that she was saying, she said it is not a good news day when grandmothers and grandfathers don't have their oxygen because we don't have any electricity. It's not a good news day when your children are drinking dirty water out of dirty rivers.
Mm-hmm.
It's not a good news day.
Yeah.
So please stop praising these. Do you know that he donated his trophy, his golf tournament trophy, to the Puerto Ricans? Girl, I just...
To do what? With?
I don't know
what we gonna do with the
trophy. I
trophy?
guess they gonna pawn it and they gonna buy some groceries.
I mean, honestly, think about what am I gonna do with a trophy and all this water? Oh, it's to help dig the water out of the basement.
Oh, okay.
Because that's about all we're going to do with that.
That's all we can do. Because it's probably 14 gold plated. Because we know he's
right.
tacky as hell.
And it's probably spelt wrong.
It's spelt wrong.
G-O-F-L.
You know what I'm saying? We can't. Okay. That's our idiot in chief. Okay, no, I'm just kidding. I don't want to be like hard or call names because I promised I wasn't going to be mean.
Yeah,
but it's just frustrating.
And I don't want this to sound like a I hate Trump show.
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
No,
it's not an anti-Trump show. It's just like I said before. Me personally, I'm over him. So
yeah.
I don't like giving him too much of my time than what he already gets from people. I don't like giving him that platform. It doesn't work out too well for anybody.
Yeah, so
I'm good on that.
Yes, I am so good on it. We've got so many things in the Black community that we can talk about positively. Mm-hmm. Today, our show is actually going to be about how to stay fit through the winter.
Is it now?
Because Miss Tiffany, she is the fitness Black goddess.
Personally, love the gym.
I don't know.
I love Zumba. I love all things fitness. I was not always this way, and you can look at me eventually. Trey knows. I did not always look this way.
I mean,
don't get me wrong. I've never been like the huge overweight chick.
Never.
But at one point, I was overweight. I was not healthy. Period. You know, especially, you know, as a mom, you run around with the kids, school, football. You know, both my boys, one played football, one ran track, and it was always something. You know, we were always going. So you kind of ate where you could, when you could, whatever. And about 4 years ago, I got diagnosed with hereditary high blood pressure.
Oh, wow.
And my dad has high blood pressure. My mom has high cholesterol. And diabetes runs on both sides of my family. And that's just the qualities of the African-American culture.
Right.
Period. It just
because we like to eat some good food.
Soul food.
Soul to the soul.
And you just have to learn to revamp everything. And when I got diagnosed, it crushed my spirit.
Because you're like, I'm perfect. And they're like, no, you're not.
Right. And I was like, but I thought I was doing good. And my doctor, who is of the Caucasian persuasion, who's great, by the way, Dr. Snitz, he told me.
Shout out to Dr. Snitz.
He told me, he said, well, you know, he said, welcome to my club. And I looked at him like, what? And he was like, I have the same thing. You know, so it was hard for me to accept that because I felt like, how can this be? Like, I'm in my 30s. What do you mean? So that's when I started kind of really rethinking how I eat and what I eat. Because in my mind, my first thought was my children.
What are they going to do without their mom?
What are they going to do without their mama?
That's my biggest fear. Oh, my God.
Like,
I'm like, who's going to bring me that hot chocolate in the morning when I'm sick? Who's going to fly all the way to Chicago just to tuck me in bed?
I have phenomenal family that, of course, if something was to happen, would always look after my boys. And like I said, they're older now, but it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter how old your kids get. You're going to always be mama, and you're going to always strive to protect them, especially when they start having kids. And don't even think about it right now, niggles. But
That is from your mom. She's not playing because you will hear this
DJ and DeAndre. But it's just, that's the first thing I thought about.
Yeah.
You know, I want to live long enough to see my grandchildren and be able to actually play with my grandchildren, because my mom got diagnosed with high cholesterol years ago, and this was right when my nephew was a couple of years old, and he's 23 now. And my mom revamped everything, and not just for us but for him. And now my mother is 60 years old and looks every bit of 42.
Yeah, well, black don't crack is also part of our historical makeup.
That's
the
right.
melanin, ladies and gentlemen, it keeps
Welcome
us
to
young.
the Melanin Club. But so I had to do something. I had to do something, and it's not always easy, because I do like to have a good time. I do like to, you know, go out. I do like to eat, but it's all, you have to put everything in perspective. What comes first?
For sure.
What comes first?
And
Plan it out. You know,
it's so hard. And you know,
it is.
The other day someone asked me if I had 3 wishes, what would it be? And my first wish would be discipline, because I think with discipline, you can be determined to do something, but if you have the discipline to do it, you'll follow through, and then that will, you know, be inevitably you'll be successful, because you will keep at whatever it is you're doing to reach that goal.
Motivation.
But
motivation is nothing without discipline.
Right, honey, because I be looking at, let me tell you what motivates me. That Fade video with Tiana, what's her name? Tatiana.
Tiana Taylor.
Tiana Taylor, honey. I just watch that. I go, yep, not eating. There's no reason to eat today because you do not look like Tiana Taylor.
Got milk.
Right. I just gonna put, no, I don't, you know I'm a vegan. She's so crazy. She knows I don't drink no milk. Nah. See, my thing is more
milk for me.
Yes, I am of the.
I ain't no vegan, but
Okay, so I call myself
lactose.
Honey, that'll get you vegan real quick.
Right.
You got them bubble guts, and you cannot like live your life.
Right.
But yeah. So I call myself the 89% vegan because there is one thing that, you know, I'm all about the anti-cruelty. That's a big part of being vegan. I think people miss it and they just think it's about the food that you eat, but it also goes into, you know, the earth and being good to the mother earth. And it's about community, you know, being kind and compassionate to one another. It's about anti-cruelty to animals. Because if you've seen some of the videos and footage I've seen on how they treat the meat is shocking. Like, wow, you know, you just kick them and beat them and they've got pus packets and they're dying and you're still feeding them to people. It's just crazy. And then your diet. And I would say being plant-based for me makes me happier. I don't preach veganism because I definitely think it's for you to decide and your body.
Because I like chicken.
I'm a Turner. Watch. No, but and what I'm saying is I think different bodies need different things. As a young child, I never ate a lot of meat. We never had a lot of meat. I just think that I forced myself because it tastes so good. But now that I'm like this 89% vegan, because I love cheese, but I'm getting away from it a lot. I'm gonna be 100% soon, but like give me a couple years. You can't do everything at once,
right? This is true.
But I find all these amazing foods taste so good, and it's just like veggies.
And see, for me, I'm not vegan. Don't ever plan to be vegan, but I eat fish and fowl. I don't do pork. and not for religious reasons or anything like that. I don't do pork because of my blood pressure.
Yeah, it's high sodium.
It is, and
but it tastes really good.
It really fucking does. But
we
gives me a headache.
We have vegan substitutes. Coconut bacon.
But
would you try it?
Of course. I don't have a problem trying anything. I don't have a problem.
I'm going to take you to Morel's in Louisville. It's this amazing vegan restaurant called Morel's, and it is so good. They have a Farbie, and it's like a fake beef and cheddar Arby's sandwich, and it's 100% plants. Everything is a plant. So these are the things that
Right.
I tried not to eat as many processed foods, even if they do come from plants, because that's still processing and it's not actual vegetables and stuff. Like, they've manipulated it a little bit, added salt, sugars.
Now, I will
whatever.
tell you what I do is every couple months, every 2 to 3 months, I go no meat.
Oh,
I do
nice.
that sometimes. It's just like a 10-day meat cleanse.
Do
that
you
I go
feel
on.
better?
I do. I feel so much better when I get my chicken back, though. But
That's in her mind.
but I do that.
So I want to tell you that we are in the studio of 97 The Beat FM, and we are broadcasting through their Ustream. Thank you. We need like one of those clappers. Like
Right.
one of those. We need to be able to. Yeah.
Right.
And DJ Ice so graciously lets us use his studio. And we're going to be bringing more videos and chats and talks and stuff to you guys. So thank you for listening.
Thank you.
And yeah, we are signing off. And we hope that you enjoyed our little...
And we will be back.
Thanks.
Bye.
Bye.